Suspect is locked up tonight for two separate murders that happened less than 1 month apart. Fresno police revealed today nearly 100 rounds were fired between both shootings.
With a developing story where dozens of defendants arrested in Fresno's multi-agency operation No-Fly Zone appearing in Fresno County Superior Court today for their first arraignments. Investigators say it's one of the biggest anti-gang operations in state history.
Dubbed Operation Broken Buns, focusing on violent crimes, drug sales, and illegal firearms possession.
13 defendants are charged in the federal criminal complaint.
Criminals are now off the streets following a months-long operation by Fresno police and other agencies. Police Chief Paco Valderrama says that this started with a focus on gangs, which quickly branched out to a number of other crimes. Watch a SWAT officer swarm an apartment in northwest Fresno, caught by our Skyfox 26 drone cam early Thursday morning. By Friday afternoon, we learned this was just one of 48 search warrants served in what Fresno police are calling Operation Gridlock.
Law enforcement putting a leash on the Bulldog Street Gang.
They operated like a corporation, but their business was crime, chaos, and fear.
The FBI launched Operation Shot Caller in early spring.
More than 100 people allegedly connected to a white supremacy gang now face charges of murder, kidnapping, and drug trafficking. The Fresno Sheriff's Office says gang leaders were calling the shots from behind prison bars.
Crime crackdown in the Fresno area resulted in the arrest of 126 people. The operation targeted gang members who were the most violent and causing the most
Fresno,
trouble.
California, known as the heart of the Central Valley, is a city of contrasts. A rich agricultural hub, a birthplace of talent, and a community long scarred by the grip of gang violence. From producing legends like NBA star Paul George, actor Efren Ramirez, and hip-hop artists like Fashawn, Planet Asia, and Bobby Brackins, Fresno has shaped culture far beyond its borders. Yet behind its success stories lies another legacy, one forged in blood, drugs, and decades of turf wars. For years, Fresno's neighborhoods have been battlegrounds for street and prison gangs. From the ruthless Bulldogs and Nortenos to white supremacist factions like the Fresnex and Aryan Brotherhood, and smaller sets like Kawa and Savage Assassins. This documentary dives deep into the most significant Fresno gang indictments of the past decade, federal and state crackdowns that reshaped the city's underworld. From Operation Gridlock's Alliance takedown that exposed a human trafficking ring, to Operation Shot Caller's historic sweep of the Bulldog network. These investigations reveal how law enforcement used intelligence, surveillance, and interagency coordination to dismantle violent criminal enterprises that terrorized Fresno County for generations. Each case, from the Kawa gang deletion plot to the Aryan Brotherhood's prison pipeline, the Fresnex indictments, and the Norteno-linked Operation Broken Bonds, illustrates how deeply embedded gang activity had become in the Central Valley, and how far agencies went to root it out.
Developing at this hour, dozens are behind bars following a multi-agency operation targeting organized crime in Fresno. The operation, spearheaded by the Fresno Police Department, is the second largest of its kind in the state.
The months-long investigation, Operation Gridlock, it led to 32 arrests, the seizure of nearly 60 illegal guns, 1,000 rounds of ammo, and nearly 300 grams. 10 victims of human trafficking were rescued.
One of the most compelling types of crimes that was being conducted was a human trafficking pipeline and network from Stockton, California, all the way to the city of Los Angeles. Primary hubs of this human trafficking was Fresno, Las Vegas, and Bakersfield.
In fall 2023, Fresno police detected a dangerous shift. 4 of the city's most violent gangs were aligning and accelerating shootings, deletions, and trafficking. That discovery launched Operation Gridlock, a months-long investigation with 10 local, state, and federal partners. By May 2024, coordinated raids in Fresno and nearby cities served 48 search warrants, arrested 32 suspects, and seized 59 firearms along with drugs, ammunition, and cash. Investigators say the operation thwarted 24 planned shootings, including deletion for hire plots and uncovered a multi-state trafficking pipeline that used Fresno as a hub. At least 10 victims were rescued. Prosecutors followed with 5 indictments charging 25 defendants with 55 felonies ranging from conspiracy, pimping, and human trafficking to illegal gun possession and shootings into homes. Individual cases include an alleged trafficking ring led by Gregory Brinkley, a weapons case naming Cameron Bell and 9 others, and charges against Joseph Packard and Edward Ziggy Tucker for allegedly firing at inhabited residences. Tucker has pleaded not guilty. Officials called Gridlock one of Fresno's largest takedowns, crediting an intelligence-driven approach, wire work, surveillance, undercover buys for stopping violence before it occurred, and, as D'Eliza Smithcamp put it, holding every criminal accountable.
More than 100 people allegedly connected to a white supremacy gang now face charges of murder, kidnapping, and drug trafficking. The Fresno Sheriff's Office says gang leaders were calling the shots from behind prison bars.
Investigators say that the leaders were able to get cell phones and use them behind bars to call other gang members and order them to do a number of violent crimes.
102 arrests. Their philosophy is white supremacy, and to further their gang activity and that philosophy.
Sheriff Margaret Mims says the gang leaders called the shots from behind bars by using cell phones.
In 2020, an 11-month probe dubbed Operation Lucky Charm zeroed in on a partnership between the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang and the Fresno Street gang, culminating in a November announcement that authorities had effectively toppled both groups' leadership. Fresno County Sheriff Margaret Mims and California Attorney General Xavier Becerra reported 102 arrests, the seizure of 47 firearms, $136,000 in cash, and various drugs. The investigators focused on cutting supply lines and stopping violence before it happened, uncovering contraband delivery schemes that used footballs and volleyballs stuffed with drugs and cell phones tossed into prison yards, and identifying key Brotherhood shot callers directing crimes via illicit phones from behind bars. The result: senior figures from both gangs now face sweeping state and federal charges, from deletion and robbery to illegal gun and drug trafficking, in a case held up as a model of interagency cooperation that disrupted white supremacist gang activity and made Fresno County safer.
Dozens of Central Valley gang members are off the streets after a multi-agency investigation in Fresno County, dubbed Operation Broken Buns, focusing on violent crimes, drug sales, and illegal firearms possession. The operation responded to multiple in Parlier, Reedley, and Kingsburg. In Parlier, gang members killed 2 people in 2 separate incidents. The first was 16-year-old Ricardo Chavana Jr., a high school student with no gang ties. He was sitting on his bed when he was shot through the back window of his home. The other victim was a farm worker, 52-year-old Silvano Mendoza, who was on his way to work in June of 2021 when he was shot by the same gang. During the operation, 26-year-old Francisco Munoz was arrested for Mendoza, with 34 people arrested, 13 of them facing federal charges for racketeering, drug trafficking, violent crimes, and firearm offenses.
In early 2023, a spike in rural gang violence around Parlier and Reedley triggered Operation Broken Bonds, a 100-day, multi-agency push aimed at the Nuestra Familia prison gang and allied Norteño cliques, especially the Barrio Colonia Parlier Norteños. Nearly 550 officers executed 55 search warrants across Parlier, Reedley, Del Rey, Dinuba, Clovis, and parts of Tulare County, yielding 34 arrests, 64 seized firearms, and sizable narcotics. Among those taken into custody was Francisco Frankie Munoz Jr., charged with the June 2021 demise of Silvano Mendoza, a farm worker with no gang ties, one of at least 2 deletions advanced or solved by the operation. Sheriff John Zanoni said the arrests would have an immediate crime-reducing impact. Detectives also believe several arrestees are linked to additional unsolved deletions. Given the scope, federal authorities stepped in. 13 of the 34 face federal counts, including racketeering conspiracy, drug trafficking, and conspiracy to commit deletion in aid of racketeering. As of the announcement, all 34 remained in custody, and prosecutors were preparing extensive filings signaling long sentences ahead and a significant disruption of the Nuestra Familia Norteño network that had been terrorizing these small valley towns.
The number he can't provide, the number of lives potentially saved now that dozens of gang members and firearms are off city streets.
You can see the violence in our city subside dramatically when we put these operations on, not just the week ahead, but for weeks to come.
The gang sweep is a product of Fresno Police, Magic, and Homeland Security's long-standing partnership.
We're able to work closely with them, utilize technology, intelligence, and narrowly focus on individuals that are actively involved in gangs in possession of firearms.
In late 2019, Fresno Police, working with federal Homeland Security partners, launched a surprise 5-day citywide sweep to break a surge of retaliatory gang shootings. The operation led to 52 arrests and the seizure of 13 illegal firearms, including a Glock converted to full auto with a drop-in device and a handgun fitted with a silencer. Police Chief Jerry Dyer said 37 of those arrested were known gang members with violent histories, and the goal was to head off further bloodshed by removing the most active trigger pullers from the street. Violence dipped immediately. Dozens of suspects faced gun and gang charges, and officials vowed to keep running proactive crackdowns through the summer to sustain the pressure.
A crime crackdown in the Fresno area resulted in the arrest of 126 people. The operation targeted gang members who were the most violent and causing the most trouble.
Well, Margot, close to 60 officers from several different agencies worked this detail. One man they pulled over had a ghost gun with him. Those guns are untraceable and assembled at home without a serial number.
While a football game between the McLean Highlanders and Yosemite Badgers was going on last month in central Fresno, outside the stadium, officers who target gangs made a notable traffic stop.
They encountered a member of a criminal street gang who was in possession of what we refer to as a ghost gun. That firearm has no serial numbers, cannot be tracked. The firearm is actually ordered in pieces off of the internet.
From July through September, officers used technology, informants, and various partnering agencies to temporarily disrupt gang crime. A handful of the gang members arrested will be prosecuted by the federal government, and agencies are working to keep them locked up while they're going through the court system.
From July to September 2019, Fresno agencies joined the U.S. Marshals Operation Triple Beam, a 3-month surge targeting the city's most violent, most active, and most influential gang members. Working off tech, informants, and sustained surveillance, the task force made 126 arrests and seized 61 weapons, including multiple ghost guns, one grabbed during a traffic stop outside a high school football game. Many suspects carried warrants for serious crimes like homicide. Others were caught with illegal guns and narcotics. Federal partners stepped in to keep the worst offenders in custody and pursue federal charges. A sweeping hit to gang capacity. Dozens of illegal guns, drugs, and cash were taken off the street, while officials signaled more coordinated surges to keep violence suppressed.
Wednesday afternoon, the Fresno Police Department announced it completed 2 separate investigations, resulting in the arrest of a trio of suspects in recent homicides spanning less than a month of each other. The police identifying 27-year-old Dante Harmon and 30-year-old Maurice Fields as suspects in a shooting that happened in central Fresno on September 10th in the area of Abbey Street and Garland Avenue. When they arrived, they found Sylvester Choi with gunshot wounds, the 35-year-old later dying at the scene. 2 others were hit by gunfire but managed to survive. The second shooting happened in southwest Fresno on October 20th in the area of Myers Avenue and Arthur Avenue. While responding to a subsequent ShotSpotter alert, officers discovered 35-year-old Patrick Dixon suffering from gunshot injuries. Despite life-saving efforts, he died at the hospital. The third suspect, Nathan Rodriguez, already in custody for an unrelated offense. He is charged in connection to the September 10th homicide.
Two Fresno gang deletions that had stalled for years finally moved forward. On September 10, 2019, Sylvester Choi, a visitor from the Bay Area, was fatally shot in central Fresno. On October 20, 2019, Patrick Dixon met his demise in a drive-by. Both incidents also wounded additional victims and were believed to be gang-motivated. By October 2024, detectives amassed enough evidence to arrest Don Harmon and Maurice Fields, identified as gang members, and charged them in both deletions. A third suspect, Nathan Rodriguez, already jailed on an unrelated case, was additionally charged in Choi's demise. The arrests highlight investigators' persistence.
All of the defendants in court today pled not guilty on all charges. There are 42 defendants, a total of 19 separate cases from the operation, and dozens of those defendants were in court today.
It was a busy morning at the Fresno County Courthouse as dozens of defendants submitted their pleas.
Not guilty pleas.
They were busted in a huge sweep.
Cases are separate, but they are very intertwined due to the gang allegations. This has been an ongoing investigation for more than 6 months.
One of the defendants, Marcelo Della, has been charged with 4, 2 in 2020 and 2 in 2021. Paulson says he could receive a life sentence or the death penalty.
By early 2022, a spike in gang-driven shootings and deletions pushed Fresno police to launch Operation No-Fly Zone. Over nearly 6 months, investigators ran round-the-clock wiretaps and coordinated more than 2,000 personnel, including 25 SWAT teams, to identify a violent network tied to 4 to 6 deletions, shootings, drug and weapons trafficking, and human trafficking. In April 2022, officers executed roughly 3 dozen search warrants citywide, making 43 arrests and seizing about 48 firearms. Wire intercepts helped stop at least 6 imminent shootings, including 2 planned mass shootings at a crowded bar on April 2nd and April 11th. Increased police presence led the plotters to abort. Of the arrestees, 37 faced state charges, and 6 face federal counts, including racketeering and firearms offenses. The targeted organization, described as an expansionist crew, was effectively dismantled. Multiple murders and shootings were likely averted, and all 43 defendants remained in custody as leaders warned about the ongoing challenge of keeping repeat offenders behind bars.
Law enforcement putting a leash on the Bulldog Street Gang.
They operated like a corporation, but their business was crime, chaos, and fear.
The FBI launched Operation Shot Caller in early spring. Their goal? To bring down 3 of the gang's factions. Federal, state, and local officials arrested 89 people. 38 of them are charged for trafficking weapons and drugs.
The FBI, Fresno County Sheriff's Office, and DOJ spent 18 months mapping rural factions of Fresno's Bulldog Gang, Huron Dog Life, Coalinga Dog Life, and San Joaquin Ruthless Perro before launching a county-wide takedown on June 26, 2025. With more than 550 officers serving 54 search warrants across Huron, Coalinga, Kerman, and nearby communities, authorities arrested 89 gang members and associates. 38 were charged in a sweeping federal complaint. Prosecutors say the network pushed drugs, trafficked guns, coordinated violence, and smuggled narcotics into jails, orders relayed by incarcerated shot callers using contraband phones. Images released by DOJ showed drugs packaged for concealment, including body carry methods and stash holes in jail walls. The federal case centers on Ignacio Giddy Sanchez, a Bulldog leader in Salinas Valley State Prison, accused of directing outside crews. He and others now face charges that include conspiracy to distribute drugs, firearms trafficking, and conspiracy to commit deletion. Officials noted juveniles were among the arrestees' evidence of active recruitment. Investigators described Shot Caller as a comprehensive dismantling of the Bulldog's Western County supply and enforcement lines. Defendants are split between federal court and state prosecutions for deletion, drug, and weapons offenses. Seizures included large quantities of drugs and ammunition. Leaders say communities in and around Huron and Coalinga should see immediate safety gains, and with Giddy, Sanchez, and other alleged organizers in custody, the Bulldog Gang's regional grip has been severely weakened. On July 9, 2021, 52-year-old Javier Fernandez was shot to death near his home in Malaga, just south of Fresno. Detectives soon tied the suspects to a stolen Honda CR-V that was later found burned, and surveillance footage showed 4 suspects fleeing. A key tip led investigators to Richard Aguilar, an active Kiowa gang member barricaded inside a Fresno residence. A SWAT team deployed tear gas and arrested him on October 7. Aguilar was booked for Fernandez's demise and on an outstanding robbery warrant. The probe then widened. Search warrants at 14 locations produced 14 additional arrests and 12 seized firearms. Among those taken into custody were alleged gun suppliers accused of arming minors, suspects charged with conspiracy to sell firearms, and 2 juvenile Kiowa members ages 13 and 14 found with weapons. Investigators also uncovered a deletion plot directed from prison charges were filed against 47-year-old Kiowa shot caller Jesse Aguilar and a 40-year-old accomplice for conspiring to commit deletion for the gang's benefit, while Jesse Aguilar was already serving a life term. Outcome: Fernandez's demise was solved, a prison-based deletion conspiracy was disrupted, a gun pipeline was hit, and more than a dozen Kiowa affiliates now face state charges. In May 2018, Fresno police and prosecutors used a rare grand jury strategy to bring down the Fresnex, a white supremacist street gang long linked to kidnappings, rapes, home invasion robberies, and assaults. After a victim finally broke years of silence, investigators secured indictments against ringleader Joy Carell and 8 associates on dozens of felonies, while another 30 Fresnex members were arrested on related charges. Prosecutors say the crew had operated largely out of public view for nearly 2 decades, preying on acquaintances and intimidating them into not reporting crimes. Outcome: the indictments effectively dismantled the gang's leadership. In late 2019, Fresno police, working with federal Homeland Security partners, launched a surprise 5-day citywide sweep to break a surge of retaliatory gang shootings. The operation led to 52 arrests and the seizure of 13 illegal firearms, including a Glock converted to full auto with a drop-in device and a handgun fitted with a silencer. Police Chief Jerry Dyer said 37 of those arrested were known gang members with violent histories, and the goal was to head off further bloodshed by removing the most active trigger pullers from the street. Violence dipped immediately. Dozens of suspects faced gun and gang charges, and officials vowed to keep running proactive crackdowns through the summer to sustain the pressure. In September 2021, 4 documented Fresno gang members planned an armed apartment robbery on North Blythe Avenue. During the attempt, one suspect fired into an occupied window before the group fled. No one was hurt. By October, detectives from the felony assault unit served search warrants, arrested all 4, and recovered a firearm. The teens were booked on multiple felonies, including attempted robbery, shooting into an inhabited dwelling, and gang enhancements. Outcome: they face substantial prison exposure if convicted, underscoring Fresno PD's stance that gang violence will be pursued relentlessly, regardless of age. In a single day, Fresno police made multiple gang-related arrests and pulled several guns off the street. Officers monitoring a gang gathering arrested Reno Jefferson after spotting him armed. Soon after, a traffic stop on a car tied to the same gang led to the arrests of Sean Thompson, a documented member, and Dominique Miles, associate, when a pistol was seen on the floorboard and a second gun was found hidden inside. That night, a separate stop near another gang hangout turned into a brief foot chase. 3 gang members were caught, including a juvenile who tossed a handgun while fleeing. In all, 6 arrests were made, multiple handguns recovered, and parole violators with weapons taken into custody, an example of the routine enforcement sweeps used to keep armed gang members off Fresno streets. The Mongolian Boys Society was born in Fresno around 1988, as groups of Hmong youth began forming splinter gangs in response to violence and discrimination within their communities. Originally created for protection, the gang quickly evolved into a structured organization. Over the years, the Mongolian Boys Society has remained predominantly Hmong in membership. In fact, prison officials officially recognize it under the name Asian Mongolian Boys Society on their gang identification lists, reflecting both its ethnic makeup and its established presence within California's correctional system.
Officers say a family of more than 30 was gathered in a backyard Sunday night to watch a football game when someone snuck in and opened fire, shooting 10 people before running away. 3 men were found dead at the scene last night. A 4th died at the hospital. The 6 other people who were wounded are still in the hospital.
Sai Li, 23, Fia Vang, 31, Ku Zhang, 38, and Kalixang Tao, 40, were all gunned down as they watched football in the backyard today. At 4:19 a.m. on November 17th, the brother of a local gang member, Randy Zhang, was and is what police say incited the later events. This happened prior to the mass shooting. 16 hours after that, the shooting on Lamona Avenue in Fresno in what police believe was a retaliatory shooting. Then, on December 17th, a break in the case. Clovis PD pulled over and arrested Billy Zhang for mail theft, finding a Glock 9mm modified to fire automatically and 2 30-round magazines that have been linked. Chief Hall says all the suspects have admitted to taking part in the shooting.
Singer. Millions of fans in the Hmong music scene loved the style and voice of 23-year-old Ji Lee. He was one of 4 men Sunday night at a football party. 6 others were wounded.
On the evening of November 17, 2019, what began as a peaceful backyard football gathering in southeast Fresno quickly turned into a scene of unimaginable tragedy. 2 masked gunmen stormed the residence and opened fire into a crowd of partygoers, deleting 4 men and injuring 6 others. All of the victims were of Hmong descent. Authorities later revealed that the attack was a targeted ambush part of a larger feud between 2 rival Asian American gangs, the Mongolian Boys Society and the Asian Crips. Law enforcement believes the shooters intended to eliminate enemies, but mistakenly targeted the wrong group. Federal court documents indicate that members of the Mongolian Boys Society convened just hours before the shooting to plan a retaliatory hit. The group selected a target residence, assigned lookout roles, and organized their plan with military-like precision. That night, the Mongolian Boys Society affiliates Pao Vang, Giovanni Delgado, and Johnny Zhang acted as lookouts while others executed the ambush. According to the Department of Justice statement, the Mongolian Boys Society shooters deleted 4 individuals and injured at least 6 others in an act of coordinated gang violence. As investigations unfolded, 7 individuals alleged members or associates of the Mongolian Boys Society were charged. 4 suspects, Gary Lee, Anthony Montes, Porge Q, and Billy Zhang, faced 8 charges including first-degree deletion with special circumstances, making them eligible for the death penalty. 3 others, Pao Vang, Delgado, and Johnny Zhang, were indicted at the federal level for racketeering and deletion conspiracy. Prosecutors stated that the deletions were carried out for the benefit of a criminal street gang. The gravity of the case drew
Porge Ku was found unresponsive in his cell on June 16th. He was taken to the hospital where he died on June 20th. Ku was facing the death penalty for the murder of 4 people after shots were fired into the backyard of a home in East Central Fresno. The case against Ku is now dismissed because of the defendant's
national
death.
attention, especially after one of the suspects, Porge Q, was found dead in jail in 2024 while awaiting trial. Police believe the massacre was tied to an ongoing gang war. One of the 4 slain victims was allegedly a former member of the Asian Crips, and investigators suspect the shooting was revenge for a prior gang-related deletion. In response to the escalating violence, Fresno police formed a dedicated Asian gang task force aimed at curbing tensions and reducing retaliatory attacks within the Hmong community.
A man is in custody accused of shooting 2 veteran Fresno correctional officers inside a jail lobby. Those 2 officers were shot in the head and neck this morning, and they're now in the hospital. Juanita Davila, who has 18 years of experience, is now in critical but stable condition tonight. And Toamalama Scanlon, a 10-year veteran, is in critical condition. And this man, 37-year-old Tong Vang from Fresno, has been taken into custody. Police say Vang entered the jail's main lobby this morning asking to visit an inmate. Officials say when he was asked to wait his turn in line, he became agitated and started showing bizarre behavior. And that's when Officer Davila confronted him. Deputies say Vang pulled a gun out and then shot her. And as Officer Scanlon approached for backup, he was shot as well.
In September 2016, chaos erupted outside the Fresno County Jail when 2 correctional officers were suddenly shot and critically wounded. The shooter was quickly identified as Thong Vang, a man with a violent past and deep gang ties.
This was Thong Vang as he appeared in court in 1998 on charges related to the abduction, forced confinement, and rape of 3 girls aged between 12 and 14. The girls were taken to this motel in Fresno and held for 2 days, forced to have sex with multiple men and boys. Vang was then 22 and a member of the Hmong gang known as the Mongolian Boys Society. Vang and the other gang members were convicted of violent forcible rape and sent to prison. Vang was released on parole 2 years ago. Registered as a sex offender, his address was listed in this apartment complex near McKinley and West. According to the Megan's Law website, he was considered a moderate to high-risk sex offender.
Just 2 years earlier, Vang had been released on parole after serving a 16-year sentence for his role in a brutal 1998 gang rape at a Clovis Motel 6.
The motel case that sent Vang to prison led to a major investigation into the Mongolian Boys gang. Another 24 members were arrested in the coming months. They'd engaged in the abduction of several teenage girls in California and other states. The girls involved in the original case and their families were forced to relocate because of threats on their lives.
At the time of that earlier crime, Vang was only 22 and known to be affiliated with the Mongolian Boys Society, one of Fresno's most feared Hmong street gangs.
It was September of 2016 when a man high on opened fire inside the lobby of Fresno County's main jail, shooting 2 correctional officers, Juanita Davila and Toamalama Scanlon. While Officer Davila made a full recovery, Scanlon's injuries left him hospitalized for 5 years. On Tuesday, he passed away.
Knowing that he finally lost his battle is very sad.
In 2018, the shooter Tong Vang was found guilty of attempted and is currently serving a sentence of 112 years to life in prison.
According to investigators, Vang's 2016 actions were erratic and alarming. He reportedly attempted to enter police headquarters while armed and under the influence of drugs. When denied access, he walked directly to the nearby county jail and, without warning, opened fire, striking 2 correctional officers before surrendering at the scene. Vang later told authorities he wanted to be arrested. He now faces multiple new charges, including attempted deletion and firearms violations. Law enforcement officials consider his case a disturbing continuation of the Mongolian Boys Society-linked violence, a thread stretching from the infamous 1998 rape case all the way to this ambush-style shooting in 2016. Vang's return to the headlines served as a grim reminder of the long-term dangers posed by entrenched gang activity in Fresno's Hmong community. The string of operations across Fresno Gridlock, Broken Bonds, Lucky Charm, Triple Beam, No-Fly Zone, and Shock Collar marks one of the most comprehensive anti-gang efforts in California history. Together, they led to hundreds of arrests, the seizure of hundreds of guns, and the collapse of multiple major networks that once dominated Fresno's streets and prisons. Each bust represents more than statistics, it reflects years of surveillance, wiretaps, undercover buys, and community pressure demanding peace. Today, Fresno stands at a crossroads. While violence has declined in key neighborhoods, the city's gang culture continues to evolve, recruiting new members through social media and spreading into rural towns across the valley. Yet the legacy of these operations, federal collaboration, tougher prosecutions, and community awareness has given Fresno something it hasn't had in years: hope. From Fashawn's lyrics about the struggle to law enforcement's precision crackdowns, Fresno's story is one of survival and resurgence, a city fighting to rise above its shadows and redefine what it means to live in the Central Valley.